Good morning, folks. John Pettipas. I'm deliberately wearing black this morning, black t-shirt and black shirt, because it's a dark subject, but bear with me. I have the Canadian flag and I have the US flag. And I can tell you, if we don't get rid of Justin Trudeau up here in Canada, we don't get rid of Joe Biden, Canada is at risk and United States at risk. What I'm about to describe could happen in this country. Not a pleasant subject, but it got to be said. I was at a function recently, and one of the participants had a T-shirt on that had on it NIA. And of course, I knew it stood for Nicaragua. And I said, "You've been in Nicaragua?" "Yes," he said. "We served as missionaries there. And Christian missionaries. They did medical work and helped the people out. And they're great people. And that's where Daniel Ortega and his Sandinistas tried to destroy that country. Communist Cuba, the evil Fidel Castro now in hell, with Hitler, Mao Zedong, and Stalin, and other ones. They sent guerrillas in. They put money into these Sandinistas. And it was terrible. And they took over the country. And they gave them a tour. There was a big, tall building, and you could look up in the building, a few stories high, and it was a little ledge, about maybe no more than 8 inches, 10 inches across, like a pigeon would get on in a loft. Pigeons like to loft in a house or in a bridge. It's like that's how narrow it was. And they take people in that were accused of crimes, accused of crimes, put a noose around their neck, but not fully tightened, and they could look down and see down 20, 25 feet and say, now, the torturer, the guard behind it, say, "Confess! Confess! What do you know? Who's worked with? Confess!" And if they didn't get the answer they wanted, they pushed them over the ledge, and of course, they hung. They died. Now, Managua is the capital of Nicaragua. Nicaragua is in South America, Central America, it's between Mexico and South America proper. So you got Honduras, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Nicaragua. They grow bananas there, for example. And they take, anyway, look on where the bananas at. You look at Sobe stores and see where the bananas come from. They almost all come from Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, whatever. Anyway, Managua is the capital of the nation, Nicaragua. And the community they're in, what was it? It starts with M, but it's not Managua. There's an active volcano. There's an active volcano. Geology, and it's active volcano there. Anyway, they take the bodies of the dead people that were tortured and hung for not confessing to crimes or stuff they didn't do anyway, and they throw the body into the active volcano in the magma, hot magma, and of course they just disappeared. Now they take and they had others, a little room, no bigger than my office, explaining to me how small it was, and they'd have 40, usually men, sometimes women, but 40, you could just stand up, just like this, just stand up. And they urinate in one of their excrement. I'd have, "How to eat," he said. "Oh, they just open up a little trap and they'd throw some food in, and they'd grab what they could get and fight among themselves." I mean, people in that situation. And some of them would suffocate. 40 people in a little room, no bigger than my office at the corner of my place here. And another place was worse yet. At the bottom of that building, were all the excrement, very simple, the shit and whatever else, the excrement, and they had they had not as many prisoners in it, but at least a dozen and a half, and there's 2 traps on top. They'd open up and they'd throw the poop down. It was just horrible, horrible. And say, why am I going on this on a Saturday morning? If Trudeau doesn't get defeated, get replaced with somebody good, and if Joe Biden, if Justin Trudeau in Canada, like that, curly-headed pot pusher, and that evil, corrupt man, United States, Joe Biden, crime family, if those two aren't taken out of office, it's not extreme for me to say this, that this could happen in this country. So that's a strong statement. I realize it is, but if Trudeau doesn't get defeated next election, I'm certain he will, and Biden, the same could happen there. Now, I want to end on an optimistic note after this here. I said, what was it like? What were the people like? He said, John, I said, what's your name? He said, John. He says, John, they're very optimistic people. Despite all they went through, Daniel Ortega and the Sandinistas were defeated, and now they have a government. That said, before the Christian missionaries wouldn't be allowed in. And they're a very optimistic people. So despite all they've gone through, they're a very optimistic people looking at the future. And with that, I leave you this relatively brief video of my standards and wish you all the best. God bless. And again, if you don't participate in the democratic process, get out and vote in Canada and the United States, we could someday face the same thing here in our countries. With that, I got to go. All the best. God bless. Thank you. Bye for now.